Queen Yuna stood at the window of her palace, looking out at the twin moons of Eloria. 3 years had passed since the war ended. 3 years since she lost everything that mattered. The Valari people celebrated the peace. They rebuilt their cities and planted new gardens in the ashes of the old ones. But their queen did not celebrate. She moved through her days like a ghost, performing her duties with empty eyes and a cold heart. Her daughter was dead. Princess Hannah, the light of the Valari queendom, had died in the final days of the war. Her diplomatic ship had been destroyed at Crescent Moon Station. The enemy had shown no mercy. There were no survivors. Yuna remembered the day she received the news. She had fallen to her knees in this very room. She had screamed until her voice broke. Her advisors had found her on the floor, clutching a small portrait of Hannah as a child. Now she did not scream. Now she did not cry. She had become stone. The door behind her opened. Lord Taiwan entered with a bow. He was tall and elegant, with silver hair that marked his noble bloodline. He had become her most trusted advisor since the war ended. "Your Majesty," he said softly, "the memorial ceremony will begin soon." Yuna nodded but did not turn around. Every year on this day, the Valari honored those lost in the war. Every year, Yuna stood before her people and spoke of sacrifice and hope. Every year, it felt like swallowing broken glass. "I will be there," she said. Taiwan hesitated. "Your Majesty, perhaps this year you could let someone else speak." "Your health, I will be there." Her voice was ice. Taiwan bowed again and left. Yuna closed her eyes. She remembered Hannah's laugh. She remembered teaching her daughter to dance in the crystal gardens. She remembered the last time she saw her, standing at the door of the shuttle that would take her to the peace negotiations. "I will make you proud." "Mother," Hannah had said. Yuna had smiled and touched her daughter's face. "You already do." She had not known those would be her last words to her child, far away, in the lawless space called the fringe sectors. A very different person was thinking about the war. Captain Doyun sat in the cockpit of his ship, the Iron Sparrow, and stared at a set of coordinates on his screen. He was a human, which made him unusual in this part of the galaxy. Most species thought humans were too young, too reckless, too emotional. Doyan had spent 15 years proving them wrong. He was not a young man anymore. His black hair was streaked with gray, and his face carried scars from battles he preferred not to discuss. But his eyes were sharp and his hands were steady. He had survived this long by being careful and being smart. His engineer Ji-woo appeared in the doorway. He was younger than Doyun, with quick hands and a quicker mouth. "Captain, are you sure about this job?" Ji-woo asked. "Crescent Moon Station is a graveyard. Everyone knows that place is cursed." "There is no such thing as curses," Doyun said. "There is only salvage that other people are too scared to claim. Other people are scared for good reasons." Doyan smiled slightly. "Then we will be rich while they are safe." Mireille, the ship's medic, joined them. She was calm and kind, with gentle hands that had saved all their lives more than once. "The medical bay is ready," she said, "but I hope we do not need it." "So do I," Doyan agreed. The Iron Sparrow jumped to faster-than-light speed, and the stars became streaks of light around them. Crescent Moon Station had once been a busy trading post. Now it was a twisted ruin floating in the darkness. The battle here had been brutal. Ships from both sides still drifted among the wreckage, frozen forever in their final moments. Doyan guided the Iron Sparrow through the debris with careful movements. He had seen many battlefields, but this one made even him uncomfortable. There was something sad about this place, something unfinished. "Scanning for valuable salvage," Ji-woo reported. "Lots of scrap metal. Some intact cargo containers." "Wait," he stopped. "What?" Doyan asked. "I am picking up a life signature." Doyan turned to look at him. "That is not possible. This battle was 3 years ago." "I know what I am seeing, Captain. It is faint, but it is real. Coming from the central hub of the station." Mireille leaned forward. "If someone is alive in there, we have to help them." Doyan was quiet for a moment. His instincts told him this was dangerous. Something that survived for 3 years in a place like this was not normal. It could be a trap, but he was human, and humans did not leave people behind. "Take us in," he said. They docked with the station and put on their spacesuits. The halls inside were dark and damaged. Power had failed long ago. They moved through the corridors with flashlights, stepping over rubble and frozen bodies. "This way," Jiwoo said, following his scanner. They found it in what had once been an escape pod bay. A single stasis pod, still glowing with faint blue light. Its power cell was almost dead, but it had kept running for 3 years on emergency reserves. Doyeon wiped dust from the glass and looked. Inside, a young woman lay within. She was Valari, with the pale blue skin and delicate features of that species. She was wearing fine clothes that were torn and stained with blood. Her eyes were closed and her face was peaceful. "She is alive," Mireille whispered. "Barely, but alive. Who puts a stasis pod on emergency power for 3 years?" Jiwoo asked. "That is not normal equipment. That is military grade. Royal grade." Doyeon studied the pod's control panel. There were symbols on it that he recognized. The royal seal of the Valari Queendom. "Get her to the ship," he said quietly. Now, they carried the pod back to the Iron Sparrow. Mireille immediately began working to stabilize the woman inside. Jiwoo ran identity checks on the pod's encryption. Doyeon stood apart, watching. He had a feeling in his gut that this discovery would change everything. "Captain," Jiwoo said. His voice was strange. "You need to see this." Doyeon walked over. Jiwoo pointed to his screen. "This pod has the highest security encryption I have ever seen. It is registered to the royal family, and according to the medical data stored inside," he swallowed. "This woman's genetic profile matches Princess Hana of the Valari Queendom." Doyeon stared at the screen. Then he looked back at the pod, where Mireille was working to save the woman's life. Princess Hana, the daughter that Queen Yuna had mourned for 3 years. She was alive, and now she was on his ship. "Well," Doyeon said slowly, "this just became complicated." Mireille worked through the night to save the Valari woman's life. The stasis pod had kept her frozen for 3 years, but it had also kept her wounds frozen. Now that she was awake, those wounds began to bleed again. Doyeon watched from the doorway of the medical bay. He did not sleep. He could not sleep. His mind kept turning over the same questions. How did the princess survive? Why did no one find her? And what would happen when the galaxy learned she was alive? "She is stable," Mireille finally said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "But she needs rest." "Days of rest, maybe more. Will she recover fully?" Doyeon asked. "I think so." "She is strong." Mireille looked down at the sleeping woman. She fought to live. 3 years in that pod, and she fought the whole time. Jiwoo appeared behind Doyeon. "Captain, we need to talk about what to do next." They gathered in the small common room of the Iron Sparrow. The ship was not fancy, but it was home. Doyeon poured himself a cup of tea and sat down heavily. "We have 3 choices," he said. "First, we take her to the nearest Valari outpost and hand her over. We collect a reward and walk away." "That sounds simple," Jiwoo said. "I like simple." "Second, we contact the Valari court directly and negotiate a larger reward. That sounds better." "Third," Doyeon paused, "we investigate. We find out why she was in that pod. We find out why no one came looking for her. And then we decide what to do." Jiwoo groaned. "That sounds complicated." "I do not like complicated." Mireille spoke quietly. "Someone put her in that pod to save her life? Someone else made sure no one found her. Those might not be the same people." Doyeon nodded. This was what bothered him. The princess had been hidden, and hidden things usually had dangerous secrets. "I have contacts in the information trade," he said. "I will ask questions quietly." For 2 days, Doyeon sent messages and called in old favors. He spoke to smugglers, spies, and traders who lived in the shadows between empires. He asked about Crescent Moon Station. He asked about the Princess. The answers he received made him uneasy. Everyone knew that Princess Hana had died in the battle. But the details were strange. Her ship had been attacked before the main battle even started. Someone had known exactly where she would be. Someone had given her location to the enemy. There was a traitor in the Villari court, and there was something else. The Villari royal family had never stopped searching for Hana. Queen Yuna had sent ship after ship to Crescent Moon Station, but every search had found nothing. That is impossible, Jiru said when Doyon shared this news. We found her in 2 hours. Maybe they were looking in the wrong places, Murray suggested. Or maybe someone made sure they looked in the wrong places, Doyon said. The traitor. The same person who had betrayed the princess was probably still in the court, making sure she was never found that night. The princess woke up. Du Yun was sitting in the medical bay, reading reports on his tablet, when her eyes opened. She looked around in confusion, then in fear. Where am I? She asked. Her voice was rough from years of silence. Doyon put down his tablet and raised his hands slowly. You are safe. You are on my ship, the Iron Sparrow. My name is Doyon. I am the captain. She stared at him. You are human, yes. Humans do not come to the fringe sectors. This human does. She tried to sit up but winced in pain. Murray hurried over and gently pushed her back down. Please rest, Murray said. You are still healing. The princess looked from Murray to Doyon. How did I get here? The last thing I remember, she stopped. Her face changed. The fear came back, but now it was mixed with terrible memory. The attack, she whispered. My guards. They put me in the pod. They said help was coming. They said, her voice broke. They died for me. You survived, Doyon said. That means their sacrifice was not wasted. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she met his eyes. You know who I am? Yes, what do you want? A reward? The favor of my mother? Doyon considered the question. I want to know what happened to you. I want to know who betrayed you. And I want to make sure it does not happen again when I bring you home. She studied him. The Villari were known for reading emotions in faces and voices. Doyon did not know what she saw in him, but something in her expression softened. Why do you care? She asked. You do not know me. You have no loyalty to the Villari. Why not just take your payment and leave? Doyon thought about the question. He could have given a noble answer about justice or duty, but that would have been a lie. Because someone should care, he said simply. And I was the one who found you. So it is my job now, she almost smiled, almost. You are strange, human. I have been told that before. Over the next few days, Princess Hana grew stronger. Her memories returned in pieces. She remembered the journey to the peace negotiations. She remembered receiving a message that changed their route at the last moment. She remembered the enemy ships appearing out of nowhere, far too many, far too prepared. It was a trap, she said. They knew exactly where we would be. Who sent the message that changed your route? Doyon asked. Hannah closed her eyes, thinking. It came with my mother's seal, but my mother would never. Someone used her seal. Someone close to her. Doyon nodded. Someone who is probably still there. Someone who has spent 3 years making sure you were never found. Then how can we trust anyone in the court? We cannot. That is why we are not going through official channels. We are going straight to your mother. Hannah looked surprised. That is dangerous. The palace has many guards. If the traitor learns we are coming, then we will have to be faster than the traitor. Jiwoo ran into the room, out of breath. Captain, we have a problem. I just picked up a transmission from a Villari patrol ship. They are looking for us. Why? Because someone reported that we kidnapped a woman from Crescent Moon Station. They are calling us criminals. There's a bounty on our heads. Doyon and Hannah exchanged looks. The traitor had made the first move. How long until they find us? Doyon asked. A few hours. Maybe less. Doyon stood up. Then we leave now. Set a course for Villari space. Maximum speed. Captain, they will catch us before we get there. Maybe. Doyon looked at Hannah. But we have to try. Hannah rose to her feet, still weak but determined. I will not hide in the medical bay. I will stand with you. Doyon shook his head. Your job is to survive? My job is to get you home. Let me do my job. She met his eyes for a long moment. Then she nodded. The Iron Sparrow turned toward Valari space and began to run. Behind them, in the darkness, ships began to follow. The first attack came when they were 2 days from Valari space. Doyon was in the cockpit when the alarms started screaming. 3 ships dropped out of faster-than-light speed behind them. They were not Valari patrol ships. They were mercenary vessels, fast and heavily armed. They found us, Jiwoo said, his fingers flying over the controls. Can we outrun them? Doyon asked. No, they are faster than us. Can we fight them? Jiwoo gave him a look. Captain, we have 1 gun. They have 12. Doyon thought quickly. The Iron Sparrow was old and small. It was not built for combat. But it was built for something else. Jiwoo, do you remember that asteroid field near the Karin Passage? Yes, the one where we almost died last year? Take us there, Captain, now. The Iron Sparrow changed course and dove toward a dense field of spinning rocks. The mercenary ships followed without hesitation. They were confident. They were sure of their victory. They did not know Doyon. He had been flying through dangerous places for 15 years. He knew how to use size against strength, how to make small spaces into weapons. The asteroid field was deadly, but it was deadlier for big ships than small ones. Doyon took the controls himself. His hands moved smoothly, guiding the Iron Sparrow between rocks the size of buildings. The ship twisted and turned, missing collisions by the smallest margins. Behind them, the first mercenary ship tried to follow. It was too slow. A massive asteroid struck its side, and the ship broke apart in a ball of fire. The second ship pulled back, trying to go around the field. Doyon looped the Iron Sparrow through a narrow canyon and came out behind it. Jiwoo fired their single gun, hitting the ship's engines. It spun away, disabled and helpless. The third ship was smarter. It stayed at the edge of the field and waited. He is trying to trap us inside, Jiwoo said. Then we will disappoint him. Doyon flew toward the largest asteroid in the field. It was almost a small moon with deep craters and sharp mountains. He took the Iron Sparrow down into one of the craters and cut the engines. What are we doing? Jiwoo asked, being patient. They waited in silence. Minutes passed. The third mercenary ship finally grew tired of waiting. It entered the asteroid field. Searching for them. It passed right over their crater without seeing them. Doyon started the engines and flew out behind it. 1 shot to the engines. The ship lost power and began to drift. 3 ships, 0 losses, Jiwoo said. He was shaking slightly. Captain, that was insane. It worked. Insane things should not work. Murray's voice came over the intercom. Is everyone okay up there? We are fine, Doyon said. How is the princess? Worried about you. Doyon smiled slightly. Tell her to save her worry. We are not done yet. They continued toward Valari space. But Doyon knew the attacks would not stop. The traitor wanted Hannah dead. And traitors with power always had more weapons to use. 2 hours later, another ship appeared. But this one was different. It was a Valari intelligence vessel, sleek in silver with the royal symbol on its hull. It did not attack. Instead, it sent a message. Iron Sparrow, this is Agent Valari Intelligence. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. I am here to determine if your passenger is truly the princess. If you resist, I will destroy you. Doyon looked at Jiwoo. Can she destroy us? Easily. That ship has more firepower than the 3 mercenaries combined. Doyon opened the communication channel. Agent Sujin, this is Captain Doyon. We will not resist. But I need your word that you are here to find the truth, not to bury it. There was a pause. Then you have my word, Captain. I serve the Queen, not the court. Doyon hoped she was telling the truth. Agent Sujin came aboard alone. She was tall and sharp-featured, with eyes that seemed to see everything. She carried no visible weapons, but Doyon had no doubt she was dangerous. She stopped when she saw Hannah standing in the common room. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Sujin studied Hannah's face, her posture, the way she held herself. You look like her, Sujin said finally. But looking is not enough. There have been pretenders before. Women who tried to claim the crown for themselves. The queen's heart has been broken many times by false hope. Then test me, Hannah said. Ask me anything? Sujin asked questions for 3 hours. She asked about Hannah's childhood, her education, her favorite places in the palace. She asked about private moments that only the real princess would know. She took genetic samples and ran them through her equipment. Finally, she sat back. Her face was pale. It is you, she said quietly. You are truly Princess Hannah. Hannah nodded. Yes, I am. Sujin stood up and walked to the window. She stared out at the stars for a long time. Your mother has not smiled in 3 years, she said. Your death broke her. The Velari have their queen, but they lost Yuna. She became cold, hard. She rules, but she does not live. Hannah's eyes filled with tears. I need to see her, yes, but there is a problem. Sujin turned to face them. Lord Taiwan? Doyan had heard that name. The queen's chief advisor? More than that. In the 3 years since the princess died, he has become the most powerful person in the court after the queen herself. He controls what she sees, who she meets, what information reaches her. Sujin's voice was bitter. He told her the searchers found nothing. He told her to accept her daughter's death. He helped her become the cold woman she is now. You think he is the traitor? Doyan said. I know he is. But I have never been able to prove it. Sujin looked at Hannah. Your survival is the proof. If we can get you to the queen, everything Taiwan built will fall apart. But he will do anything to stop that. The mercenaries, Hannah said. Yes, he hired them. And he reported your ship to the patrol fleet. He is trying to capture or kill you before you can reach the palace. Then how do we get past him? Guwu asked. Sojin smiled grimly. We do not go through him. We go around him. There is a trade delegation visiting Eloria tomorrow. Ships from a dozen worlds. One more will not be noticed. You want us to pretend to be traders? Doyan asked. I want you to get into the palace while Taiwan is distracted by the delegation. I will make sure the queen is in a place where you can reach her. You will have a small window. If you miss it, Taiwan will find you. And he will kill all of us. Doyan looked at Hannah. It is your choice, princess. This is your life we are risking. Hannah did not hesitate. I have waited 3 years to go home. I will not wait another day. Sujin nodded. Then we leave now. The Iron Sparrow will join the trade fleet at the edge of Velari space. I will go ahead and prepare the way. She moved toward the airlock, then stopped. Captain Doyan, she said. I have read your record. You are a salvage runner, a mercenary, a man who works for money. Why are you doing this? Doyan shrugged. Maybe I got tired of just taking things apart. Maybe I wanted to put something back together for once. Sujin studied him. The Velari do not trust humans. They think your species is too young, too crude, too selfish. I know, perhaps they are wrong. She left without another word. Doyan turned to his crew. You heard the lady? We have a princess to deliver. Jiwoo sighed. I really miss the days when we just collected scrap metal. Mare smiled. No, you do not. No, Jiwoo admitted. I do not. The Iron Sparrow joined the trade fleet and began its final journey to Eloria. Somewhere ahead, a queen waited in her cold palace, not knowing that her daughter was finally coming home. And somewhere in that palace, a traitor was preparing to stop her. Eloria was the most beautiful world Doyan had ever seen. The planet glowed blue and green from space, wrapped in soft white clouds. As the Iron Sparrow descended through the atmosphere, he saw crystal towers rising from forests that sparkled with bioluminescent light. Rivers of silver water cut through valleys of purple flowers. It looked like a dream. Hannah stood behind him in the cockpit, watching her home grow larger in the window. Her hands were shaking. I never thought I would see this again, she whispered. You are home, princess, Doyan said. Not yet. Not until I see my mother. They landed at the trading port outside the capital city. Dozens of ships from across the galaxy filled the docking bays. Merchants and diplomats walked through the crowds, too busy with their own business to notice one small human vessel. Sojin met them at the edge of the port. She was dressed in plain clothes, hiding her identity as an intelligence agent. "The trade delegation has begun," she said quietly. "Lord Taiwan is in the Grand Hall with the Queen, greeting the visitors. He will be there for at least 2 hours. That is your window. How do we get into the palace?" Doyan asked. "I have arranged passes for servants. You will enter through the kitchen entrance. From there I will guide you to the Queen's private garden. She goes there every day at this time to be alone. It is the only place where Taiwan does not have spies." Hannah looked at Doyan. "You do not have to come inside. You have done enough. More than enough." Doyan shook his head. "I said I would bring you home. The job is not done until you are with your mother. Taiwan will try to kill you if he catches you. Then I will try not to get caught." They changed into servant clothes and entered the palace, through a small door near the kitchens. Sujin walked ahead, leading them through narrow hallways that the nobles never used. They passed cooks and cleaners who did not look twice at them. The palace was magnificent. Even the servant corridors had walls of polished stone and ceilings painted with stars. Doyan could only imagine what the main halls looked like, but he could also feel something cold in the air. The servants moved quietly with their heads down. No one smiled. No one talked. The palace was beautiful, but it was not happy. "This way," Sujin whispered. She led them to a small door covered with flowering vines. Beyond it was a garden filled with glowing trees and singing flowers. In the center, beside a pool of still water, sat a woman in white robes. Queen Yuna. She was older than Doyan had expected. The pictures he had seen showed a vibrant woman with warm eyes and a kind smile. This woman was thin and pale, with gray in her hair and shadows under her eyes. She sat perfectly still, staring at the water without seeing it. Hannah made a small sound. Her whole body tensed. "Mother," she breathed. Doyan touched her arm. "Wait, let me go first. She does not know we are here. If we surprise her, I cannot wait." Hannah pulled away from him. "I cannot wait another second." She walked into the garden. Queen Yuna did not move at first. Then she heard the footsteps. She turned her head slowly, expecting a servant or a guard. She saw her daughter. The queen's face went white. She stood up so fast that she knocked over the small table beside her. Her hands flew to her mouth. "No," she whispered. "No, this is not real. This is another dream. Another trick. Mother." Hannah's voice broke. Tears streamed down her face. "Mother, it is me. It is really me. It cannot be. My daughter is dead. I buried her memory." The queen's legs gave out. She fell to her knees. Hannah ran to her. She knelt down and took her mother's hands. "Listen to me," Hannah said. "Do you remember the song you used to sing to me when I was afraid of the dark? The one about the moonfish swimming through the stars?" The queen stared at her. "No one else knows that song," Hannah continued. "You made it up just for me. You said it would always keep me safe." Something changed in the queen's eyes. The cold wall that she had built around her heart began to crack. "Hannah?" she whispered. "My Hannah?" "Yes, mother. I came home." Queen Yuna let out a cry that was 3 years of pain finally breaking free. She pulled her daughter into her arms and held her so tightly that Hannah could barely breathe. They stayed like that, crying together, holding each other, as if they would never let go again. Doyan watched from the doorway. He felt something tighten in his chest. He had seen many things in his life, but he had never seen anything like this. Sojin stepped beside him. Her eyes were wet. "You did this," she said quietly. "You brought her home. I just flew the ship. You did more than that, and you know it." The moment was broken by shouting from inside the palace. Taewon. He came through the main entrance to the garden, surrounded by guards. His face was twisted with fury. "Seize them!" he shouted. "That woman is an imposter. That human is a kidnapper. They have come to assassinate the queen. The guards hesitated. They looked at the queen, still holding the young woman on her knees. Your Majesty, one guard said uncertainly. Lord Taiwan says, I know what he says. Queen Yuna's voice was raw from crying, but there was iron underneath it. She rose to her feet, keeping one hand on Hannah's shoulder. And I am telling you that this is my daughter. My true daughter. I know her face. I know her voice. I know her heart. She has been fooled, Taiwan said. He was trying to stay calm, but Doyun could see the fear in his eyes. These criminals have used drugs or technology to deceive her. We must take the woman for testing. I have already been tested. Everyone turned to look at Hannah. She stood tall, despite her tears. She looked at Taiwan with cold understanding. Agent Sujin tested me on the journey here. She confirmed my identity, my genetics, my memories, everything. Hannah stepped toward Taiwan. But you already knew I was real, did you not, Lord Taiwan? You knew because you are the one who tried to kill me 3 years ago. The guardian went silent. That is a lie, Taiwan said. But his voice was not steady anymore. You sent my ship the message that changed our route. You used my mother's seal to make it look official. You told the enemy exactly where we would be. Hannah's voice rose. My guards died protecting me. Good people died because of you. And then you came back here and comforted my mother while she cried over my grave. Taiwan's mask cracked. His face became ugly with rage. You should have stayed dead, he hissed. He grabbed a gun from the nearest guard and pointed it at Hannah. Doyun moved without thinking. He threw himself in front of the princess just as Taiwan fired. The shot hit Doyun in the shoulder. He fell backward, crashing into Hannah and knocking them both to the ground. Sujin was faster than anyone expected. She kicked the gun from Taiwan's hand and struck him in the throat. He collapsed, choking. Take him! The queen commanded. The guards obeyed. They seized Taiwan and dragged him away. He was still trying to speak, but no words came out. Mireille and Jiwoo rushed into the garden. They had been waiting outside, ready for trouble. Mireille dropped beside Doyun and pressed her hands against his wound. The shot is not deep, she said. He will live. Doyun looked up at Hannah. She was kneeling over him, her face filled with worry. You saved my life, she said. Doyun tried to smile. I told you. The job is not done until you are safe. Queen Yuna came and stood over him. She looked down at this human who had bled for her daughter. Her eyes were still wet, but they were not cold anymore. They were not empty. Thank you, she said. Thank you for bringing her home. Doyun closed his eyes. He had finished the job, now he could rest. 1 week passed. Lord Taiwan was tried before the Villari High Court. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Messages he thought he had deleted were recovered. Payments to the enemy were traced. Servants who had been afraid to speak finally told their stories. He was found guilty of treason, murder, and the attempted assassination of the royal family. The punishment was death. Queen Yuna did not attend the execution. She stayed in the palace with her daughter, making up for 3 years of lost time. They walked in the gardens together. They ate meals together. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. The queen was changing. The servants noticed it first. She smiled at them. She asked about their families. She thanked them for their work. The cold woman who had ruled for 3 years was melting away, and the true Yuna was coming back. The whole queendom noticed. Princess Hannah addressed the people in a public broadcast. She told them what had happened to her. She told them how she survived. And she told them about the human who saved her. Doyun did not watch the broadcast. He was in the palace medical wing, recovering from his wound. Mireille had done a good job of treating him on the ship, but the Villari doctors wanted to make sure there was no permanent damage. You are healing well, the doctor told him. Another few days and you can leave. Good, Doyun said. My ship needs maintenance. Gyu visit him every day. Captain, do you know what is happening out there? We are famous. Everyone is talking about the human who saved the princess. They want to give us medals. They want to name streets after us. I do not need a street. You could at least enjoy this a little. I will enjoy it when I am back on my ship. Jiwoo shook his head. You are impossible. On the 7th day, a servant came to Doyeon's room. Captain, the Queen requests your presence in the throne room. Doyeon put on the clean clothes the palace had given him. They were too fine for a salvage runner, made of soft fabric that probably cost more than his ship. He felt uncomfortable, but he went anyway. The throne room was enormous. Crystal pillars rose to a ceiling painted with the history of the Valari people. Nobles and officials stood along the walls, watching. At the far end, on a throne of white stone, sat Queen Yuna. She was wearing her full royal robes, glittering with gems. A crown of silver sat on her head. She looked like a queen again, powerful and proud. But her eyes were warm. Princess Hannah stood beside her, dressed in her own royal clothes. Sujin stood nearby, along with Mireille and Jiwoo, who looked deeply uncomfortable in their borrowed formal wear. Doyeon walked down the long hall toward the throne. His boots echoed on the polished floor. He stopped at the proper distance and bowed his head. Captain Doyeon, the Queen said. Her voice filled the room. You came to my world as a stranger, a salvage runner, a human from the fringe sectors. No one asked you to do what you did. No one paid you. No one promised you anything. Doyeon said nothing. He was not sure what to say. Yet you found my daughter when all others failed. You protected her against enemies who wanted her dead. You brought her across dangerous space, through battles and betrayals all the way home. The Queen's voice softened. And when a traitor tried to kill her in my own garden, you put your body between her and the weapon. You took the shot that was meant for her. Doyeon shifted uncomfortably. I was just doing my job. A small laugh went through the crowd. Even the Queen smiled. Yes, she said. That is what you told my daughter. That is what you told Agent Sojin. That you were just doing your job. She stood up from her throne. But finding a lost princess was not your job. Protecting her was not your job. Bleeding for her was not your job. You did these things because you chose to, because you cared, because you are a good man. She walked down the steps from her throne. The nobles murmured in surprise. Queens did not leave their thrones during formal ceremonies, but Queen Yuna was not interested in ceremony. She stopped in front of Doyeon. She was shorter than him, but she seemed to fill the whole room. I have ruled the Valari for 40 years, she said. I have met kings and emperors and warriors from 1,000 worlds. Most of them wanted something from me, power, alliance, wealth. She looked into his eyes. You want nothing. You saved my daughter and asked for nothing. You nearly died for her and still asked for nothing. I have my ship, Doyeon said. I have my crew. I do not need more. But you will have more. Because I'm going to give it to you, and you are going to accept it, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Another laugh from the crowd. Doyeon felt his face get warm. Queen Yuna turned to address everyone in the room. Let it be known throughout the queendom and beyond. Captain Doyeon of the human ship Iron Sparrow is now a citizen of the Valari realm. He will have lands on Eloria, income from the royal treasury, and a permanent place of honor in this court. He and his crew may come and go freely in our space for the rest of their lives. The crowd applauded, but the Queen was not finished. She turned back to Doyeon. There is one more thing I must do. Something that has never been done before. She knelt before him. The room went completely silent. The nobles stared in shock. A queen of the Valari kneeling before a human. It was unthinkable. This is not payment, Queen Yuna said quietly, so only Doyeon could hear. There is no payment for what you gave me. This is respect. True respect from one soul to another. The Valari have looked down on humans for centuries. We called you young, crude, reckless. We were wrong. You showed me what a human is capable of. You showed me that the best qualities of the soul do not belong to any one species. She rose to her feet. Thank you, Captain Doyeon, for my daughter, for my kingdom, for myself. Doyeon did not know what to say. He had never expected this. He had never wanted it, but he understood why she was doing it. and he respected her for it. "You are welcome, Your Majesty," he said simply. The Queen smiled. "Now go back to your ship. I know you are uncomfortable here, but know that you will always have a home with the Valari." The ceremony ended. People crowded around Doyon, wanting to shake his hand, wanting to thank him. He escaped as quickly as he could, with Myre and Jiwoo helping clear a path. Later that evening, he stood in the docking bay beside the Iron Sparrow. His crew had loaded supplies for their next journey. The ship was ready. Princess Hannah came to see him off. "You are leaving," she said. "I am not built for palaces, Princess." "Hannah, just Hannah." He smiled slightly. "Hannah?" She looked at the ship, then at him. "Will you come back?" "Maybe, when I need a place to repair my ship, or when I miss the food. The food is good here. It is." They stood in comfortable silence. "You changed everything," Hannah said finally. "Not just for me. For my mother. For the whole queendom. We will not forget." Doyon shrugged. "I found someone who was lost. That is all." "That is not all. And you know it." She stepped forward and embraced him. "Thank you, Doyon, for everything." He hugged her back, briefly and awkwardly. Then he stepped away. "Take care of your mother," he said. "She needs you. I will." Doyon walked up the ramp into his ship. Jiwoo and Myre were already in the cockpit. He took his seat and started the engine start as the Iron Sparrow rose into the sky. Hannah stood in the docking bay and watched. She raised one hand in farewell from her balcony high in the palace. Queen Yuna watched too. Her daughter was beside her, pointing at the small ship growing smaller against the stars. "There he goes," Hannah said softly. "Yes," the Queen said. "The human who brought you home." The ship disappeared into the darkness between stars. In the cockpit, Doyon looked at the empty space ahead of him. Jiwoo was setting a course for their next job. Myre was organizing the medical bay. Everything was back to normal. But not quite. Something had changed in Doyon. He could not explain it. He had spent 15 years taking things apart, salvaging the pieces of other people's failures. This was the first time he had put something back together. And it felt good. "Captain," Jiwoo said, "where are we going next?" Doyon thought about it. "Somewhere interesting," he said. The Iron Sparrow jumped to faster-than-light speed and vanished into the stars behind it, on a beautiful world of crystal towers and glowing forests. A queen held her daughter's hand and smiled for the first time in 3 years. The galaxy had always underestimated humans. They thought humans were too young, too small, too simple. They forgot that sometimes the smallest acts of stubborn kindness could move the hearts of queens, and that was exactly what made humans remarkable.